Hi, here is the fundamental assessment from the side against a proper flat wall. So, back, good back against the wall, and then you can just roll up if you have correct mobility. Here it is wrong. Waist against the wall, back of the head against the wall, mid-back, nowhere near the wall. So let's recap. Your chest gets tight, your neck gets tight, you start to hunch forward. In order to get your head back into position, you arch your back. Now you have the lordosis starting to form. If that becomes automatic, you're doing that all the time. Your arched back is unnecessary effort that you're exerting all day long, which is exactly analogous to the clenched fist arm example. So as your arm gets tired if you did this all day long, your low back gets tired if you do this all day long. Now we can finally move on to the correction, how to fix this. But before we do, I have to give you this quick disclaimer. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a physical therapist, and the process I'm going to describe is risky. You are fundamentally modifying your posture. And part of this process, for me at least, was painful. And it will be challenging to tell whether you're doing it right or doing it wrong, whether you're improving yourself or potentially harming yourself. It is not obvious as you go through this process. I'll do my best to give you some pointers, but it's challenging. If you have any doubt about your abilities to do this sort of thing, or even just in general, I would recommend you talk to your doctor and or physical therapist before starting anything this aggressive. The first step along the road to recovery from your lordosis is removing the compensation all the time. What this means, the low back compensation. What this means is you take your final position from the fundamental assessment, which is the standing stoop over, where you feel the low back start to move. As soon as you start to feel tension and stretch in your low back, you stop. That is now your default posture, what you try to do all the time. Literally, every time you see a nice flat wall at your office, at your home, wherever, do that posture. Do the assessment check and make sure that you're doing it right. Dozens of times a day, day after day. Spend literally a couple weeks doing this until it becomes automatic and ingrained. Similarly, do it sitting. So the same sort of thing. A nice hunch over to make sure that your low back, middle of your low back, resting against the chair, so you have no overextension of your low back, and then come up as far as you can. If you can't come up very far without overextending your low back, this is your fundamental posture, sitting. So you, step number one, to ingrain that, both sitting and standing, until it is automatic. The next step is to release any trigger points that you have, especially in your glutes and your obliques. My butt, which is your butt and your obliques right here, like low back, the side, your side. For me, I was essentially a giant trigger point, both of them. So a trigger point is essentially a muscle knot that the years of tension, of overworking these particular muscles and using them incorrectly, you can create this tension where the muscles are essentially knotted together. you want to loosen them up. And the best way I've found is you go and you buy a lacrosse ball, and the way you work the trigger point is you roll around on the muscle until you find a spot that is particularly painful. And once you find the spot that is painful, you hold there for a while, like 30 to 45 seconds. And then generally the pain will start to diminish, and then you can move slightly a little bit in one direction or another, roll around and find it, move a little bit, and you can tend to follow the pain, and you roll out the pain that way. What I did, this was the worst part. It hurt pretty bad, and I spent about 2 weeks each on my glutes, and then another probably 2 weeks on my obliques before I eliminated the trigger points. So what it looks like, for instance, your glutes, like take the upper part here, stick the ball in, and just kind of roll around and look for painful spots. You can also do it laying down. It hits things slightly differently. Again, both glutes, left and right. And same with your obliques. Do the same thing. Lay down, the ball in, roll around back and forth. You don't need to do it as large of a motion as I'm doing here, sorry. You want to go slowly looking for the painful places. Once you find a painful area, again, that's your trigger point, and you release it for the 30 to 45 seconds. And just keep repeating that over and over again, day after day, until you don't feel the trigger points anymore. This is another stretch I really like. I like this with 5-pounders. You want a little bit of weight, but not very big head, as you'll see in a sec. So the idea is knees bent so your back is supported. Engage your abs. You want, as with most of the things we do, you want nothing happening with your low back. Your low back completely supported, touching the ground, and relax. If you're starting to feel your low back arch up, you're pushing too hard and you're not doing any good. You're just oversending your back again. So the idea is you want to get the weights over your head. And you can move in various up and down like this, or snow angel like this. And once you get up, once you can finally do this, then you want to drive your chin down, forcing your neck closer to the floor, and move your head back and forth. So that's a great stretch. Again, I'm doing it very quickly. You want to do that on the order of a minute or two. Lots of neck motion, etc. This is another one. I have this little step here in the garage. I also do this on the corner of the bed, which is actually a little better because you're a little higher off the ground. So the idea is that your chest is tight and you need to open up your chest and stretch it out. The problem with doing these sorts of motions standing is they tend to encourage you to arch your back, which is exactly the motion that you cannot do. So if you're doing these sorts of stretches standing, like against a door frame or something, you might just be overextending your back and not really stretching your chest. So I like doing it laying down because that way your back is fully supported, your low back can't go anywhere, and then you just stretch the chest. Just like this. Again, you can do it at different angles. You don't, these are just 12s. You don't want to use too much weight because you don't want to, tear something. You just want to relax into it and let the stretch open up your chest. Again, if you're feeling it in your low back, arching up, you're doing it wrong. Another one, this isn't chest, but the hip flexors are tight a lot. So it's good to stretch your hip flexors too. Stuff like this. Lean in. Both legs. The final stretch, kind of stoop over a little bit. Totally relaxing your back and especially letting your shoulders fall forward so everything is completely relaxed. No tension in your back at all. Then you want to tuck your chin which straightens your neck, and as you kind of droop forward and let your body hang forward, drive your neck backwards. So it's a stretch for the back of your neck. Something like that. Then when you have your neck back as far as you can go, then you want to work your full range of motion of your neck. So rotate your head side to side, and in particular, stare up. So it looks like and what you're stretching are these muscles or tendons or whatever in here. And that's it. Hopefully you found this helpful. Like I said before, this eliminated all my back pain. Just to give you an idea of time frame, from the before to after picture was about 2.5 years. So this is a fairly long process. Hopefully, since I've distilled some of the learnings on how to do it, it might speed it up for you depending on how old you are, how progressed, how far your lordosis has progressed. I was 42 when I started, and just to give you some idea. Good luck.